It started as just another day on the highway, miles of open road, the rumble of engines, and the occasional vehicle passing by. But things took a sharp turn when two bikers decided to mess with a truck driver they thought was an easy target. What they didn't know was that this driver wasn't your average trucker. With years of experience navigating the roads and a no-nonsense attitude, he wasn't about to let their antics slide. As the bikers weaved in and out of traffic, taunting the massive rig, the tension on the road grew. The truck driver kept his cool at first, but when their reckless behavior pushed too far, he decided it was time to teach them a lesson in respect. What happened next? Let's just say the bikers quickly realized they'd underestimated the wrong person. Stick around to see how this highway showdown unfolds. The bikers had been riding aggressively for miles, swerving dangerously close to other vehicles and showing off for each other. It seemed like a game to them, cutting in front of cars, revving their engines, and laughing as drivers reacted. When they spotted the massive truck in the distance, they saw it as the perfect new target. To them, it was just another opportunity to show off and feel in control. But what they didn't know was that the truck driver had seen their kind before. With a lifetime spent behind the wheel, he knew how to handle tricky situations on the road. His truck wasn't just a vehicle, it was his livelihood, his second home, and he wasn't about to let anyone put it, or anyone else on the road, in danger. As the bikers closed in, their reckless moves became bolder, but the truck driver stayed calm. He had a plan. The bikers grew bolder, circling the truck like vultures. One rode up dangerously close to the truck's side mirror, his exhaust roaring as he glanced back with a smirk. The other biker moved ahead, slowing down just enough to block the truck's path. It was clear they wanted to provoke a reaction, but the truck driver's face remained calm and focused. His hands gripped the wheel steadily, his years of experience telling him to wait for the right moment. Inside the cab, his radio crackled with the faint chatter of other drivers warning about delays up ahead. But he tuned it out, his attention locked on the bikers. He noticed everything, the way their bikes started unpredictably, the way they signaled to each other with subtle hand gestures. They thought they were in control, but they didn't realize the truck driver had already started reading their moves like an open book. As the bikers pulled their stunts, other cars on the road began to slow down, sensing the tension. The truck driver, still patient, kept his distance, but his eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. A few other drivers were watching too, their expressions showing a mix of curiosity and concern. The road stretched out ahead, with no sign of the bikers backing off. The truck driver knew it was only a matter of time before things escalated further. The truck driver tightened his grip on the wheel as the bikers grew more reckless. One of them swerved directly in front of the truck, forcing him to brake hard. The screech of tires filled the air as the massive rig slowed down just in time, narrowly avoiding a collision. The biker turned around, laughing, as if he'd won some unspoken challenge. But the truck driver wasn't laughing. He stayed calm, his mind racing as he carefully calculated his next move. Traffic was thinning out, and the open road ahead left little room for distraction. The second biker, still riding beside the truck, suddenly darted closer, slapping the side of the cab as if to taunt him further. The sound echoed inside, but the driver didn't flinch. Instead, he glanced at the biker through the window, his eyes steady and unyielding. Other drivers on the road began honking, their frustration and concern growing. The truck driver could feel the weight of the situation pressing down on him. These bikers weren't just messing around anymore, they were putting lives at risk. He checked his mirrors again, spotting a rest area up ahead. It was a slim opportunity, but it might be just what he needed to take control of the situation. The bikers, oblivious to his plan, continued their stunts, their laughter carried away by the wind. But as they approached the rest area, the truck driver began to subtly adjust his speed and position, setting up for something they wouldn't see coming. The tension on the highway reached its peak, every second feeling like an eternity as the unfolding drama seemed destined for a breaking point. Just as the truck driver prepared to guide the situation toward the rest area, something unexpected happened. A sudden rumble came from behind, another motorcycle engine, louder and more aggressive. A third biker had joined the scene, seemingly out of nowhere. Unlike the first two, this one didn't appear to be playing games. He rode with purpose, his blacked-out bike cutting through the traffic like a shadow. The first two bikers looked back and exchanged nervous glances. It was clear this new arrival wasn't part of their crew, and his intimidating presence seemed to rattle their confidence. The truck driver noticed this shift immediately. He didn't know who this newcomer was, but it was clear that things had just gotten more complicated. The third biker didn't waste time. He revved his engine loudly, speeding up to ride between the truck and the two troublemakers. His actions were sharp, calculated, and completely different from the chaotic stunts the others had been pulling. It wasn't long before the two bikers started falling back, clearly unsure of what to do next. The truck driver, still carefully monitoring the road, couldn't help but wonder if this was some kind of strange coincidence, or if this mysterious rider had stepped in to help restore order. Either way, the tension on the highway was far from over. The stakes had just been raised, and with everyone's attention now on the third biker, the question remained, was he a savior or someone with his own agenda? The third biker held his ground, cutting off the two troublemakers every time they tried to get close to the truck again. His movements were precise, as though he'd done this 100 times before. The first two bikers, realizing they were losing control of the situation, finally backed off, riding side by side a few feet behind the truck. It seemed like the standoff was coming to an end, but the truck driver wasn't ready to let his guard down just yet. Then, just as the highway curved toward the rest area, the third biker slowed down and motioned for the truck driver to take the exit. It wasn't a command. It felt more like a suggestion, a way to safely bring the chaos to a close. Trusting his instincts, the truck driver flipped on his blinker and began to pull off the road. To his surprise, the third biker followed, while the other two stayed on the highway, speeding off into the distance. As the truck rumbled to a stop in the rest area, the third biker parked his motorcycle a few feet away and climbed off, removing his helmet to reveal a calm, determined face. He walked up to the truck cab and gestured for the driver to roll down his window. "Saw what was happening back there," he said with a nod. "Figured you could use a hand." The truck driver, grateful but still cautious, thanked him and asked how he'd gotten involved. The biker simply smiled. "Let's just say I've had my own run-ins with guys like that before." He paused, glanced at the highway, and added, "They'll think twice before trying something like that again." But as the truck driver watched the mysterious biker ride off, something about his words stuck with him. It was only later, while back on the road, that he noticed a small decal on his side mirror. A sticker of a badge with the words "Highway Patrol, Retired," written underneath. As the truck driver continued his journey, the adrenaline from the encounter began to fade, leaving him with a mix of relief and curiosity. The highway stretched out before him, quiet now, with no sign of the reckless bikers or the mysterious third rider. He couldn't help but think about the retired patrol officer, how he'd stepped in at just the right moment without hesitation. It wasn't every day that someone took the time to intervene and help a stranger on the road. The driver glanced at the small sticker on his mirror again, a reminder of the unexpected kindness and professionalism he'd witnessed. It made him realize that even in tense situations, there are people who look out for others, often without expecting anything in return. With the road clear ahead and the hum of his truck filling the cab, he smiled. Another day, another lesson learned on the highway.